So in the last class we have seen the mesh current analysis, and a special case of mesh current analysis was a super mesh analysis, okay, where a independent current source was coming, ideal independent current source was coming in common to two meshes. So we have seen a special case by solving the super mesh. Okay. Next point we will go to is node voltage analysis. Okay. This is also one of the type of analysis. This is not altogether different. Okay. So we can analyze any circuit using mesh current analysis, using node voltage analysis, or using branch current analysis, or using simple Ohm's law analysis. Okay. So this is one of the technique to analyze the circuit. Analyze circuit in the sense to know the currents and voltages at various points and various paths in the circuit. Okay. So what is node voltage analysis is? In mesh current analysis, we used KVL equations. In node voltage analysis, we use KCL equation. Okay. We use KCL equation. So we applied KVL to the loop because we know that KVL is always applied in a closed path. Now here we will apply KCL at a junction or a node. Okay. So here, what is node? Node is simply the point or a junction where, let this be R1, R2. So when I have two resistances connected at a point, this I cannot call it as a node. Why? Because node is always a point in the circuit where the current divides. Okay, you can add one more understanding to a node is, okay, at node current divides or current gets divided. So if you consider a point N where R1 and R2 are connected in the circuit, at a point N current is not getting divided. Now if the current in R1 is from right to left or in clockwise direction, current in R2 is also clockwise direction. Now if current in R2 is in anti-clockwise direction, current in R1 is also in anti-clockwise direction. So there is no question of current division. Okay. But when I add one more branch, this hypothesis, or sorry, this claim may not be true. Okay. Now, if current R1 is resistance R1 is carrying some current, then at this node the currents get divided, in the sense there may be some current flowing through R3 and some current flowing through R2, or there is possibility that R2 may also carry some current which will result in the total current in R3. There are many possibilities. Okay, but what is the thing is that the current in R1 and R2 is not same. Not same in the sense not by value. Okay, by value it may be same. Depending upon the potential difference between R2. Now suppose the voltage across R1 is 10 ohms and the resistance is 5 ohms. Then 10 by 5 is 2 amperes. Now here if the voltage across R2 is 2 volts and resistance of value of R2 is 1 ohms, that is also it is 2 amperes. It doesn't mean that these two are same currents. Okay. Value of both currents are same, but these are different currents because this is flowing in different branch, this is flowing in different branch. Okay, so this understanding we should have same currents in the sense if the same current is flowing in all the components, then that is same current. Don't judge by seeing the value of the current. So therefore, the current gets divided here. So here it will be 4 amperes. The current is 4 amperes. Now this is called a node. Okay. This is a node. Okay, the point where or the junction where more than 2 branches. Any number of branches should be more than 2. Only 2 will not work. Okay, so that cannot be a node. It will work, sorry, but that cannot be a node. Okay, so if there is any point where more than 2 branches meet in a circuit, that we call it as a node. Okay, and at the node we know that current is 0, but voltage exists. Okay, at the node we know current is 0, but voltage exists. We know the node is characterized by voltage. Branch is characterized by current and the drop. Okay, but node is always characterized by voltage. But branch is characterized by both voltage and current. Why node is characterized by only voltage? Because current at node is 0. As per KCL, the algebraic sum of all the current at a junction is 0. Therefore, node is always characterized by only voltage. Hence, it is node voltage analysis. Hence, it is node voltage analysis. Now, what does this node voltage analysis say us to go for the solution? Okay, or to get the analysis done. Okay. So now we know what is node. Now suppose we have circuits. I have a, for example, I will take a circuit. I have some So how many nodes I have here? This is one node. This is two node. You can observe there is one node, three node, and four node. But that is not the case. Why? Because see, this is connected with a common wire. 1, 2, 3, 4. All these four connections are same. So there is a common point connection. So these both nodes will combine to give us only one node. Suppose in case I had some element here, then I would have said this is a separate node and this is a separate node. Okay, but if you see this circuit, all these lower or if you name A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So E, F, G, H is the same connection. There is no change. Okay. So what we have to do is, first we should recognize the node. And one advantage why we should go for node voltage analysis is, if you observe, or we will see that. Okay, that point we will see at the later point. One biggest advantage of node voltage analysis is that we can apply this technique to solve for non-planar circuits also. Now, what is planar circuit? The circuit where the branches will not cross each other. So, when the branches will not cross each other, so for example, I have this circuit. Applying mesh current analysis for this is very difficult. For this circuit, because it is a non-planar circuit. This branch A is crossing branch B, or branch B is crossing branch A. So applying mesh current analysis is difficult. It is little bit difficult, but very conveniently I can apply node voltage analysis. So the biggest advantage of node voltage analysis is that it can be applied to planar as well as non-planar circuits. Okay. One point. Second point, here we have to define one node as reference node. Okay. Here one node should be taken as reference node. Because whenever I am defining voltage at node B, node C, or node 1, node 2, that voltage always is defined with respect to some other point. Voltage is always between 2 points. Okay? The voltage is always between 2 points. Unless and until I have other point, it is very difficult for me to define voltage with respect to A. I can define a potential of A, whether potential of A is positive or negative. Potential is higher potential point or lower potential point, I can say. But what is the potential difference if I have to find, that is the voltage if I have to find for any node, it should be with respect to some other node. And that node with respect to which I am defining the voltage is taken as reference node. So reference node is that node, okay, which is used to define the node voltage of all the nodes. Okay. So second point we should remember here is all node voltages must be defined with respect to reference node. All node voltages must be defined with respect to reference. So that is the reason why I have to take one reference node. Now, which node has to be defined as reference node? Should I define node 1, node 2, node 3 or node 4? Okay. So I should define a particular node as a reference node which will give us more advantage. That is, a node which is connected with the maximum number of branches should be defined as reference node. Then it will be very easy for us to analyze. Okay. Equations will be having lesser number of terms. Okay. Reference node should be the one that have maximum number of branches connected. A reference node should be one which have maximum number of branches connected. Now, if you take node 1, there are 3 branches connected. If you take node 2, 3 branches connected. If you take node 3, okay, this branch, this branch, this branch, this branch. If you take node 4, both 3 and 4 are same here in this case. Okay, so this node 3 and 4, okay, is connected with 1, 2, 3, 4 branches directly. Okay, they are directly connected to the node 3 and node 4. So it is convenient for me to define node 3 and node 4, or commonly I will take it as node 3 as reference node. Now I will be taking this entire circuit as reference node. If you want, you can redraw the circuit. Okay. If you want to visualize this reference node as only one point in the circuit, because it now consists 2 to 3 points. If you want to visualize it as only one point, you can do that. This is node 3, this is node 1, node 2, R1, R2, R3, R4, V2, V1, R5, R6. So this is R2, this is R3, R4, this is V2. Now there is R1 and V1. Now here I have R5 and R6. This is the circuit. Okay. Now I have redrawn the circuit by taking a reference node. So this is at 0 potential. Okay. So reference node is always at ground potential. Is always at ground potential. So ground potential need not be 0 potential all the time. In many electronic circuits, ground potential will not be 0. Ground potential will be defined some value, very small value, maybe near to 0, because if we use transistors as switches, okay, if we use transistors as switches, The voltage across transistor is maximum when it is open. The voltage across transistor is minimum when it is closed. Okay, but when the transistor is a closed switch, the voltage across it will not be zero. Some VCE will be there. Some small value of VCE will be there. So that minimum possible value is called as ground potential. I will take that as logic 0 or ground potential. That is meaning of ground potential. So ground potential need not be always 0. Okay, this is just for an information. Now, next what should I do? Now I have recognized the nodes. I have defined the reference node. Next I have, what should I do? Now I should assign the branch currents. I should assign the branch currents. Now how should I assign the branch currents? You assign in any way. There is no harm. Okay. Just make sure that in each branch there is a current. Okay. Whether you take this current, say I will define it as say I1, I2, I3, I4, I5. Okay. You don't worry about the KCL and all those things, what is happening here. No doubt if you apply KCL to the node and then assign the currents, it is fine. There is no problem at all. Okay. Even if you don't do that, it's fine. Okay. But ultimately what will happen at the end? At the end, my current directions will change. That's it. If I take this current also outgoing, I1 is also outgoing, then actual value of I1 when I calculate, when I find, then if it comes negative, it means that current is in opposite direction. That's it. Magnitude of the currents will never change. In any analysis, please remember, magnitude of the current will not change because circuit parameters are constant. As long as circuit parameters are constant, magnitudes of branch currents or mesh currents will not change. They will remain same. Only you may get with plus sign or minus sign depending upon your direction, what you have assumed earlier. Okay, so you assign any direction current in any branch, but each branch should have at least one current. No, each branch will have only one current, not at least. But you make sure that every branch connected to the node, every node is assigned with some current, is assigned with one unknown current, and you assign any number of currents. Okay, I1, I2, it is not that number of unknown current should be equal to number of meshes. It is there in the mesh current analysis. Here I am not worried about that. You assign any number, I1, I2, I3, I4, I5, I6, I7, I8, any number of branches, you assign any number of currents. IA, IB, ID, IA dash, IB dash, I1 dash, I2 dash, do whatever you want. Because ultimately when I write the grand KVL equation for analysis, it will come in terms of node voltages. So no worry. I1, I2, I3, the name of the currents in each branch is for my reference. It won't reflect in the equation at the later stage, for the analysis stage. Ultimately what we get is the nodes. So this is node 1, let this be V1, node 2, let this be V2, node 3 is taken as ground potential. Now, after assigning the currents, you write the KCL equations at each node. One advantage I told, I will tell you at the later stage, that what is the advantage of node voltage over mesh current analysis. The advantage is that, observe, if this circuit has to be solved using mesh current analysis, then you are supposed to write 3 mesh equations. Okay? You are supposed to write 3 mesh equations. Whereas, if you write the node voltage equations, you have to apply KCL at node 1 and KCL at node 2. So there will be only 2 equations. So for the same circuit, to analyze mathematically, one equation is reduced. So computation period is more quick. It is fast. Computation time is less. So computation is more faster. So it doesn't matter much when I am dealing on board with some 2 loop, 3 loop circuits. Now imagine an integrated circuit. Okay. So imagine that there is an integrated circuit where there are lakhs of loops. Even if you take one small subsystem in that loop, the number of loops or number of meshes will be, even if you take the least, it will be hundreds together. So it is practically very unimaginable to solve 100 simultaneous equations manually. So we have to take the help of computer. Whether you use MATLAB, whether you use C programming, whatever programming tool you may be using. So computation will be more faster if number of equations are less. So for any circuit given, number of equations using node voltage analysis are one less than the number of equations of mesh analysis. That is the advantage. Okay. So now after writing the or after assigning the branch currents, now write KCL equations at each node. Write those KCL currents in each branch in terms of node voltages and solve those. I will not do for this circuit. I will take one circuit example and we will do that. Okay. Let this be the same circuit. Okay. I will simply assign the values now. Instead of R1, R2 and all these things, let me assign the values here. $50 nodes, 2 ohm, 50 nodes, 2 ohm, 4 ohm, 8 ohm, 10 ohm. Let this be 20 volts, 20 ohm, and 6 ohms. Now instead of R1, R2, I will be writing the exact values. I will take only one resistor here, 20 ohms. So this is 15 volts. This is 2 ohm. This is 8 ohm, 4 ohm, 10 ohm, 20 ohm, 20 volts. Okay. Now I should be writing the KCL equation at each node. This is node 1 with V1, node 2 is with V2. Okay. Apply KCL at node 1. Okay. So before that, if you want to conventionalize the current, incoming current at a node is positive, outgoing current at the node is negative. Okay. Incoming current at the node is positive, outgoing current is negative. Okay. So this is my convention throughout. Okay. Anytime I have to apply KCL to any node, I will consider the incoming current at that node to be positive and the outgoing current at that node to be negative. Okay. So now coming to the application of KCL, I1 is incoming current, I2 is outgoing, I3 is outgoing. So I can write it. I1 minus I2 minus I3 is equals to 0. Sum of all the currents at a junction is 0. That is KCL. I have done the same thing. Now write the equation for I1, I2 and I3 in terms of node voltage or the potential difference across that branch. Now observe, current I1 is flowing from 15 volt source towards the node V1. So we know that current always flows from higher potential point to lower potential point. So with respect to 15 volts, V1 is at lower potential depending upon my direction of current I1. This is assumption. If I take the direction of current I1 reverse, now if I take from V1 to 15 volts, then V1 is assumed to be at potential larger than 15 volts and 15 volts is lesser than the potential of V1. Now I have taken this direction of current in that branch. So I follow that convention. I follow that direction of the current and write the potential difference for this that is responsible for the flow of this current. So this current I1 is existing in this branch means what? There is some potential difference between 2 points of this branch. So this negative is connected to ground. This is ground, same. Okay. So between ground and V1, there is some potential difference which is existing against 2 ohms, or sorry, across 2 ohms, and that is creating that current I1. Depending upon the direction of current I1, okay, I understand that the point where from which the current is flowing is higher potential point. Therefore, 15 volts is higher potential point. V1 is at lower potential point with respect to 15 volts. I am not talking with respect to V2. With respect to 15 volts, it is at lower potential point. So therefore, for I1, I will be writing it as 15 minus V1 divided by 2. 15 minus V1 divided by 2. Now this is I1. Okay, minus I2. Now see, I2 is flowing from V1, that is node 1, to ground. So V1 is at higher potential point with respect to ground. So I will take that as V1 minus 0 divided by the impedance of that branch is 4. Now this is I2. Minus I3. Now I3 is flowing from V1 to V2. So obviously V1 is assumed to be at higher potential point. V1 minus V2 divided by 8 ohms is equals to 0. Now simplify this. Okay. So it is 7.5. 15 by 2 is 7.5 minus 0.5 V1. V1 by 2 is minus 0.5 V1 minus V1 by 4 minus 0.25 V1. 1 by 4 is 0.25 minus V1 by 8 minus 0.125 V1 plus 0.125 V2 is equals to 0. Is equals to 0. Now, minus 0.5 V1 minus 0.25 V1 minus 0.125 V1. So that is minus 0.75 minus 0.125. So this is 7.5 minus 0.925 V1 plus 0.125 V2 is equals to 0. So not 0.95, 0.825, 0.75. In 0.875. .875 V1 plus 0.125 V2. Now arrange in the standard form. It is 0.875 V1 minus 0.125 V2 is equals to 7.5. So this is equation 1. Okay, that is equation 1. Now apply KCL at node 2. KCL at node 2. Okay. So I3 is current entering I4 and I5 are leaving. So I will write I3 minus I4 minus I5 is equals to 0. Now what is I3? Now see, don't take I3 as V2 minus V1 because the direction of I3 is fixed. It is from V1 to V2. This already I have assumed. So when it comes to V2, it doesn't change. So I3 is still flowing from V1 to V2 only. Okay. So I3 is V1 minus V2 divided by 8. Okay. Minus I4. I4 is now from V2 towards 20 volts. So with respect to the direction of I4, V2 is higher potential at higher potential with respect to 20. So it will be V2 minus 20 divided by 10. Minus I5 is between V2 and ground. That is V2 minus 0 divided by 20. Okay. So this is I3. This is I4. This is I1. Now, so V1 by 8, it is 0.125 V1 minus 0.125 V2 minus 0.1 V2 plus 10, sorry, plus 2 minus 0.05 V2 is equals to 0. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Okay. So 0.125 V1, it will remain as it is. Minus 0.125 minus 0.1 minus 0.225 minus 0.05 minus 0.275 V2 plus 2 is equals to 0, or I will write minus 0.125 V1 plus 0.275 V2 is equals to 2. Now this is equation 2. This is equation 2. Now solve equation 1 and 2. I will get V1 and V2. Okay. Solve equation 1 and 2. Solve 1 and 2. So after solving 1 and 2, what I get is so V1 is 10.27 volts and V2 is 11.9 volts. Okay. So this is the solution. Once I get V2, V1 and V2, I can find the current through any branch. I have the equations. I can find the current through 2 ohms. Now I know that V1 is at lower potential with respect to 15 volts. It is 10 volts. So what is I1? 15 minus 10.27 divided by 2. What is 4 ohms? 10.27, sorry, current through this I2, V1 by 4. Current here, now observe, now the value of V1 is lesser than value of V2. So if I take the value of I3, it will come negative. What does it mean? With respect to the direction assumed here for I3, it is from V1 to V2. So with this direction, it is evident that V1 is at higher potential to V2 in assumption. But in actual, V2 is at higher potential with respect to V1. So therefore, if you calculate I3 with this direction, you will get negative. V1 minus V2 will be minus, negative. So the actual direction of I3 is from V2 to V1. That is the analysis what you have to understand from the circuit analysis. It is not simply substituting the values, coefficients in the equation, getting the result and keeping it as it is. No, that is not the way. Once I get the values, you should interpret it. Data interpretation is extremely important once you get the data. Okay. So with this, I will stop for today's class. Okay. In the next class,